Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Last week was a very good week. We called out about 15 stocks and about 14 were correct. So about a 93% accuracy rate, not bad at all. So let's see if we can continue that momentum into this week. But before we call out the stocks for this week, let's go ahead and quickly recap the stocks from last week. So the way this works is I look at the closing price of that Friday, the week before our watch list, and I compare that to what was the highest price that the stock made the week after. And obviously if it's a good range, then I consider that to be a success. So without further ado, let's get started. I went ahead and just typed in the closing price and the high price on my phone. That way I can just read it and go through this video a lot faster. I realized last week's video was a bit long. So I'll just quickly pull up the chart and basically tell you the closing price from that Friday, which was July 17th, and just basically give you the stock's high for the week after. So the first stock was ES, which was the closing price for that was $87.84, and it made a high of $91.09. So definitely not bad at all. That's a big enough range for a mid-cap stock to definitely make profit at some point during the week, whether you want to day trade it or swing trade it. The next stock was good too for a small cap stock. It almost reached $1 per share. The closing price was $24.34 and it reached a high of $25.31. Next stock was an ETF, which was SVXY. And this had a closing price of $32.85 and reached a high of $34.19. So definitely more than $1 per share. And again, that's definitely not bad for a small cap stock. IDA had a closing price of $91.48 and it reached a high of $95.16. Next stock is BX. And this had a closing price of $55.97 last week, and it made a high of $58.90 this week. OMCL had a closing price of $67.18 and made a high of $68.72. So that one could have been a little bit better, but it still went up nonetheless, and so there was a window there to make profit. But definitely probably the weakest out of all the ones that I called out. The next one is NVRO. The closing price for this was $132.28 and it made a high of $135.61. And the next stock I consider probably my biggest one as far as calling out the stock correctly. And that was Visa. It made a closing price of $195.09 on Friday, and we really wanted this to break 200, and we got exactly that, and it reached a high of $200.95. All right, next stock is ARE. ARE had a closing price of $166.75, and it reached a high of $170. Next stock is EGHT. And this had a closing price of $16.06 and it reached a high of $17.25. Next stock is FCN. This had a closing price of $114.06 and it reached a high of $117.15. Next stock is Paychex, Payx. And this had a closing price of $73.49 on the 17th and made a high of $74.47. All right, next stock is Expo, EXPO, and this had a closing price of $80.60 and it reached a high of $82.44. And this was probably my second biggest stock. NOC had a closing price of $306.84 and it reached a high of $318.79. And then finally the last stock, and this is just, I guess, bad luck because I called 14 stocks correctly in a row, And then finally, when I did the research on the last stock, I was a bit hesitant on it. I really wanted to find that 15 stock. And I knew just by the look of this that it pulled back way far and then obviously gapped up very high. And this was that candlestick on Friday. And usually when I see a setup like this, it doesn't typically extend that far. So although it had a closing price of $15.87, it did make a high of $15.94. But I'm not going to obviously consider that to be a success, because that's a very small range to make any profit. So this was basically a, if not a break-even trade, it was a losing trade. So, but that's basically it for last week. And without further ado, we can go ahead and move on to this week. So I only have 5 stocks on watch as opposed to 15 like I usually do. There wasn't really much setups that I liked for this week or this upcoming week. That's primarily because of how the stock market fell last week. And so most of the charts are bearish. But I did find 5 stocks that I believe have great potential. And the first one is REXR. This is a daily chart. We have a reversal signal going off right here. I remember we talked about the reversal study tends to be pretty reliable on the longer term chart. And I also like how this candlestick on Friday ended as a bullish doji right above the 20 EMA. So we can hopefully see continued momentum at least up to the, the 200 SMA. And if we switch over to the weekly chart, this doesn't, it's not ideal, but it doesn't look that bad either. It looks like the closing price just closed right above that 20 EMA on the weekly chart. And so hopefully we can make a new high by breaking the high of this last week's weekly chart. And yeah, we'll see what happens with that. The next stock is AMSF. This is the weekly chart. Reversal went off, and obviously with this, last weekly chart being above the 20 EMA, I'm looking for continuation. If you switch over to the daily chart, I don't think that looks that bad either. So yeah, you have like these 2 bullish candlesticks, and it looks like it's consolidating a bit from that Friday's candlestick. So hopefully we can break out this 200 SMA and reach higher highs than these 2 candlesticks right here. I will say, obviously, if you switch over to the flex grid, you can see that there's not really much volume on a daily basis for day trades. So this is probably more so for a swing trade setup. And plus, with lower volume, that also means that the spreads usually tend to be a lot bigger. So that's just something to keep in mind. Yeah, with that aside, we'll go ahead and move on to TRP. All right, so this is the daily setup for TRP. I think this is probably the weakest of the stocks that I'm going to call out, but I'm still going to leave it on the list. Hopefully we can make some move up to $46. We'll see. I think I primarily put this on the list because of the weekly chart. It is running into resistance right here, the 20 EMA, but I do like the fact that a reversal study did go off. So let's see if we can break this high and, go higher up. All right, next stock is SNP. I like the weekly chart here. A reversal study did go off. It pulled back, and then it finally made a bullish candlestick on the weekly chart. So I'm looking for that continuation, hopefully at least up to this 20 EMA. The daily chart doesn't look bad either. Reversal study went off on the daily chart as well too. Bit of consolidation on Friday, so let's see if we can reach the 100-day SMA at the very least. And then the last stock is a reputable one. It's Target. So the daily chart, although it seems like we may be late to the party as it's already kind of extended, I do like the fact that the weekly chart still makes it look like we have a little bit more room to run. And this is the way it looks. I feel like it could break this high, and who knows, maybe we can reach 130 by next week. So those are the 5 stocks. I am going to make another video right after this, and this is going to be a list of penny stocks to watch, low float penny stocks. So what I'm calling out right here, obviously, is a bit safer, but the penny stocks I'm going to call out in the next video obviously have a higher reward, but also a higher risk. And again, these low float penny stocks, they tend to have huge range and they tend to be so volatile, but I looked at these penny stocks that, went wild a couple of weeks ago, and I looked at the weekly chart, and after a pullback, it seems like it definitely has more room to run again. So I'll definitely call those out on the next video. Other than that, if you guys like this video, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe button to support this channel, and I'll continue to make more valuable videos going forward. But other than that, take care and have a nice day. Bye.